game 5 in Alicante with 2 defeats, a draw and a win under the belt for the Swiss. They're waving their flags and ready to give this another go. And this time they're up against the classic Italians of the Condotta, which, as anybody will know, is an army list that can have pretty much bloody anything in it, really. I think a little bit of advanced scouting had given me a bit of an inkling. I think one of my clubmates had actually played Monsieur Abric beforehand, and I knew that there would be a lot of the sort of Albanian style light horse javelin elite in this army, so I was expecting it to be a pretty mobile, pretty wide army. There were 4 knights, just a 4-knight command, nothing particularly clever, who chose to dismount straight away. There was this sort of Albanian style command of 5 light horse javelin elite to occupy a lot of space, and then a fairly solid standard command, 2 longbow, pikemen, polearm, 2 knights, the strategist, giving them a lot of control over terrain. But really, that's a tricky bit for me to deal with unless the terrain falls correctly. That I'm quite happy at. But overall, I suppose once the knights have dismounted, this ended up a more stodgy army than perhaps I was expecting. I think I'd expected it to be a bit more mobile even than this. So slightly dodgy picture. What I tried to do here may be better in this one. What I thought was, after the previous couple of games in which I'd sort of lined up and hoped that the Swiss would just do the business, I needed to actually start thinking about stuff in this competition and this game. And as you can see, the terrain was bloody awful for me here. This is the edge of the table. The marsh over there, there was literally nothing at all. One field kind of on my base edge in the middle, nothing else at all. And it was just way too wide for my little Swiss army to spread itself across against an army that I knew had some width. So I actually deployed everything on kind of a third to a half of the table, anchoring my line on this bit of field, and expected to just push here and try and sort of create a defensive wall as with units pushing out, and see if I could push these light horse off the table and then sort of get in this way. Bit of a tricky thing to do, and slightly surprised again by the dismounting of the knights who started off kind of here and moved up to form up a line with the enemy heavy troops here, which left me with kind of 4 pikemen, 5, 6 and a couple of halberdiers, a few more halberdiers, actually 3 halberdiers against 4 dismounts, all the stuff in that other one. And here come the longbowmen. They're running to go and threaten this area as well. So I'm a little bit overstretched here, but I'm doing reasonably well at pushing these who are still in a coherent line. So looking a bit further on in the battle, this is really the story of it. The attempt to push and maintain a coherent line here, it starts to get pretty ragged. I've sort of pinned the handful of light horse back here. There's not quite the gaps for them to go through and do anything too dramatic, which means I'm starting to peel off some guys from this included brilliant commander to join the combat here and to put pressure on the knights. And the dismounted knights are drifting more and more this way. But the issue is they're closing down on this little knot of 2 pikemen who go in the command with the 3 halberdiers that are really there just to, at this stage I'm thinking, shove them forwards, get them a long way from these. So they'll probably go down in time, but they're pretty tough, and it will give these guys a bit more time to defend the baggage, a bit more time and space, and it may give these guys time to get into here, get in all these generals, see if I can chew these over and push through there and scoot a few of these off table. So what happens is the pike just collapse immediately. One of the units is dead almost straight away. The longbowmen come swinging around really quickly and get into my troops, who've just got utterly becalmed with terrible pips. This guy was too busy pulling up his own pants, I think, to deal with it, and I was really struggling to respond to all these different threats, even though they were just supposed to stand there. But they didn't stand there, they were just removed, and that suddenly creates this 2-3 wide gap I've got nothing to do with 2 knights coming through. That's pretty catastrophic before I've even got into combat here, and he's now isolated and in all sorts of trouble. So I'm looking at 2, 4, the baggage is in all sorts of trouble there, difficult to defend these. This is almost a game losing situation here. What I have achieved here is to get 2 included generals into the foot knights straight away, another load of pikes into the foot knights. Got an overlap on this one. My halberdiers from the command on this side of fighting dismounted knights. Got a few extra people here, so we're doing our best to put as much pressure on, and we're starting even to push the whatever, the Albanian light horse back through the terrain, almost through the baggage into loads of space, but I haven't really caught any of them at the moment. But this is where I just need to see these foot knights crumble. But unfortunately, they weren't particularly keen on crumbling. It was me. I was struggling. I'm taking a hit. They're taking a couple of hits, but you know, for the sheer hitting power that's two included generals, overlaps, all sorts of things, only to take one hit each there at this stage after they've been fighting for a while is not good. And you can see that extra knight has now chewed up my pikeman and is coming through to join in and act decisively on this combat as well. Well, not a lot's actually happening. And that other knight's just walked through, just picked up my baggage. The halberdiers are going down. This is the last one. There's two missing here. There's two knights there. So it's two pikemen, halberdier, another halberdier. That's 4 units, 8. He's in trouble. He'll be 9, 10, 11. That's 15. That's a big old hole in my army. This is pretty catastrophic. I've just not been able to spread out over the table that is this wide against this army, and the inability to punch through what should have been the attackable bit has just actually cost me dear. It's another one in which the terrain has made that really difficult for me. And that's another defeat for the Swiss on a much bigger open table than they could manage with.